Good morning, everyone. My name is Minister Herbert Fenner, and welcome to Standing and Rebuilding Ministries. This morning, I do have a word for you this morning, and I believe it's going to encourage you, that's going to inspire you as well as bless you. And I want to talk to you this morning briefly about your faith. Yes, I want to talk to you briefly about your faith. In the Bible describes faith as a substance of things hoped for, an evidence of things not seen. Another translation of faith says that now faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. Let me give you that again. Faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you were struggling with your faith? Do you find yourself in a situation even now where you may not have the answer? You may not have the solution to your problem. You can't figure out how you're going to get through what you're going through. And I know that this is to be true for not just some of us, but for all of us. Because that's what life does. Sometimes we find ourselves in situations where we feel helpless. We find ourselves in situations where we feel like powerless. There's nothing that I can do. I don't know what I'm going to do. I've done everything that I can do humanly possible. I made all my phone calls and I crossed all my T's. I dotted all my I's, and my situation, it still remains the same. I feel like I'm running out of options. Feels like I'm running out of patience because I don't know, where my future is going to be. I don't know what's going to happen, to my dreams. I don't know what's going to happen to my home. I just don't know what's going to happen to me. I remember a time when I was incarcerated and I was sitting in my cell and I had a roommate. And one particular day he was lying on his bed and I was sitting on my bed and I was actually reading the Bible at the time. And this gentleman, he rose up from his bed and he looked at me. And he says, imagine that this cell begins to fill up with water. It's flooding. He said, how are you going to get out of here? Now, I'm holding the Bible in my hand. I'm reading the Bible. So I set the Bible down and I began to look around this room because that's all it was. It was a small room and had narrow windows. Narrow windows, and the windows didn't open. There was no way that you can open the windows. That didn't have the type of glass or where you can try to bust the windows out. It had a steel door. You couldn't get through the door. The vents were small and narrow. There's no way that you can even attempt to even go through the vents. So I'm sitting there and I'm looking around this small cell, and my roommate, he's looking at me. He said, it's filling up with water. How are you going to get out of here? And I'm trying to figure it out. Everything that I can figure out humanly possible, a way to get out of this cell that is filling up with water. And I could think of absolutely nothing. In my mind, it's not possible. It's no way for me to get out of this cell. There's no way for me to get out of this room. There's no way for me to escape this danger that I'm in. So I looked at I say, I don't know. And he looked at me and he said, your faith is what's going to get you out of here. Wow. You talking about a revelation? You talking about spiritual insight? You talking about spiritual wisdom? He said your faith, your trust in someone that is more powerful than you. Your trust in someone that is wiser than you. Your trust in someone that is more capable than you. That's how you're going to get out of here. And I just want to remind you today, my friend, if you find yourself in a situation that seems to be impossible for you to escape, it seems to be impossible for you to evade that situation, for you to get out of that situation, and it seems like the waters is rising. And you said that I've done everything that I can do. I've exhausted all my strength, all my resources, and still my situation, my circumstances hasn't changed. I feel like I'm about to drown. Your faith is going to get you out of there. Because man's extremity, my friend, is God's opportunity. And what that means is when you have come unto your end, when you have exhausted and done everything that you can do humanly possible, it's God's opportunity to take you where you can't go in and of yourself. It's God's opportunity to do what you can't do for yourself. And that's what faith is. And that's why it's important, my friend, that we trust in God and lean not into our own understanding. Because based on my understanding, I was going to die in that cell. Based on my own understanding, there was no way I could get out. But the Bible reminds us that God's ways are higher than our ways. God's thoughts are higher than our thoughts. Do you remember Daniel? Do you remember Daniel and the 3 Hebrew boys? Do you remember them being placed in the fiery furnace? Yes, they was thrown into a furnace of fire. Fire that would destroy you, fire that would burn you. But when the king went and checked and looked at it, he said, hold up, I thought it was 3. I see somebody else in there. What's going on? How were they able to survive that fire? It wasn't humanly possible for them to survive that fire. In and of themselves, they had no way of escape. They couldn't put the fire out. They couldn't hide from the fire. There was no way for them to escape. But how did they escape? They escaped by their faith. They escaped by them trusting God in a situation that they was not able to get out in and of themselves. And not only were they delivered from the fire, but the Bible says that they didn't even smell like smoke. They didn't even have the smell of smoke on them, as if they was never there. What about Daniel? Daniel was thrown into a den of lions. Hungry lions. Lions lions that will tear you to shreds. Thrown into a den of lions for that purpose. To be the lion's lunch. But then when they looked into this den, Daniel was sitting amongst the lions having fellowship. When Daniel went into that lion's den, there was no way for him to escape. There was no way for him to climb back out. There was no rocks for him to hide up under. But how did he survive it? How did he survive an impossible situation? His faith. His faith did something for him that he was not able to do for himself. What am I saying today? Don't lose your faith. Continue to trust someone that is higher than you. And that someone is God. God is stronger than you. God is wiser than you. God can do for you, my friend, what you can't do for yourself. God will do for you what doctors can't do, what physicians can't do. The Bible talks about a woman who had an issue of blood for 12 long years, who spent all her money, all her resources trying to get help, trying to get delivered. And nobody was able to help her. But the Bible says that she heard that Jesus was in town. And she said to herself, if I can just touch the hem of his garment. And she pushed her way through the crowd and she touched him. And Jesus responded and said, who touched me? And his disciples looked at him like he was crazy. They said, Jesus, you got all these people that's pressing upon you, all this crowd that's around you. We don't understand. What do you mean, who touched you? And Jesus said, no. Somebody touched me. Somebody touched me. Somebody believed in me. Somebody trusted me. Somebody touched me in such a way, he said, that virtue, power has left me. Can you touch God today? Are you willing to stretch forth your faith today and say, God, I'm going to trust you today. I'm going to touch you today. I'm going to reach out to you today. I've done all that I can do, and in my situation, it remains the same. Things have not changed. But if you, my friend, if you rely on your faith, trust in God with all your heart and lean not into your own understanding. Because your understanding has not allowed you to figure it out. Your understanding has not allowed you to be overcome. It has not allowed you to be delivered. So it's time to trust God. Trust God. And allow him to get you out. Allow him to bring you through. Allow him to deliver you. Allow him to make a way where there appears to be no way. And I too, my friend, am doing the same thing. Oftentimes I find myself in a cell where it seems like it's filling up with water, and it's like, what am I going to do? How am I going to get out of here? But I'm constantly reminded, your faith is going to bring you through. Hold on to your faith, my friend, because your faith is going to get you out of there. This is Minister Fenner standing in Rebuilding Ministries. Be encouraged today. Be great today. And remember, my friend, your faith is going to get you through. God bless you.